You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 110, Getting Back Out There. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, my beautiful Bravehearts. How is everybody doing? I am so excited today. We are answering our first Braveheart Hotline question. I'm so excited. I love getting your questions through the Braveheart Hotline. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Season 2, we released a Braveheart Hotline where you can simply call the number. It's 850-988-4177. And when you call this number, you get a voicemail and then you leave your name and a specific question, and I can come on here and answer the question. I love this format so much more than like the Instagram story answers, just so that I can actually talk through an answer with you here on the podcast. So I'm so excited to implement this. It's going to be so fun. So Rachel, boo, your question is first. She had mentioned, I feel like we're best friends. And I'm like, yes, me too. I feel like I'm best friends with all of my Bravehearts. I love you guys so much. I think about you just as much, if not more, than I think about my own best friends. So there's that. This is a great topic because it covers so many different things. Now, if this is the first time you're listening to the podcast, and if you're like just fresh from heartbreak, I suggest making sure that you go back to episodes 1 through 5 and at least listen to those first before you migrate into this content. I want you to know when I say thoughts create feelings, I want you to know kind of what that means, because we're going to dive deep into this. And if you are fresh from heartbreak, but you have listened to all of the podcast episodes, I still want you to listen to this episode, even though it's talking about getting back out there. And if you're not feeling like you're ready for that, that's totally fine. I want you to be here and I want you to listen to this episode with me because it will be relevant for you at a specific time. And knowing this information before you kind of jump in will be so beneficial to you. Okay, so I'm just going to read the question that she had, and I'm not reading it verbatim. I simplified it, and I'm going to read you guys the question, okay? All right, so Rachel mentioned she's built a life that she's proud of. She understands that thoughts create feelings, but as she's starting to date and get back out there, she said that I know that when someone really likes me, it's because of their projection of themselves. So just like my relationship with my ex, it was so special because I made it special through my thinking. Rachel, so proud of you. Yes, all of that is correct, right? She mentioned, I'm worried that I'm getting cold because I'm really invested in the main character's energy and I don't know when or how I could warm up to the idea of a relationship again. And now I've met someone and he's putting in a lot of effort, but I can't put in that much effort because I feel very reason-based and I don't know how to open my heart again. So she said that she would really love to hear about how I healed and opened my heart again and how others have done that as well. So I'm going to talk about that today. It's going to be so good, and I'm going to give you all kinds of examples of this because I've worked with so many Bravehearts through this process, even in the Get Over Your Ex program, because the last 4 weeks, typically most people are over their ex, and we're really focused on next steps and next relationships. Okay. All right. So here's the thing I want to mention first, Rachel, is that your heart isn't closed. Notice how you're saying my heart's closed. And when we think about a breakup, you literally are experiencing heartbreak, which means your heart has broken open. So the problem isn't that your heart is closed and that makes you cold. That's not the problem. Now, I want to ask you a question. You guys, questions are my kryptonite. I have such great questions for you. I want to ask you, can you be invested in the main character's energy and fall madly in love? Can you be invested in the main character's energy and feel and experience love and joy and beauty in your life? What? Yes, Bravehearts, you can. That is a part of the main character's energy. I hope the main character falls madly in love. That's fun, right? Just because you're invested in you and you want to maintain that and you're aware that thoughts create feelings doesn't mean you don't get to play the game called life. The problem is that you're telling yourself you can't be invested in the main character energy and fall madly in love with someone. You can't believe thoughts create feelings and fall madly in love with someone. Isn't that so funny? Right? So as I have ventured forth into dating and I started seeing my current partner, Jake, I know that thoughts create feelings. I know that what he's thinking creates how he is feeling, and what I'm thinking creates how I'm feeling. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop myself from having amazing, loving thoughts about him and fall madly in love with him. That's all the same. I still allow myself to be like, oh my gosh, he's so amazing. All with the awareness of I think that he's amazing because I also believe that I'm amazing. But I also keep that awareness in the low points too as well, right? Whenever we're having a conversation about something and maybe we're disagreeing or something pops up and we have different viewpoints on it, I'm always trying to be aware, keyword, always trying to be aware that my thoughts are creating my emotions in this moment. And the emotions that he's experiencing, those are happening because he's thinking that. He doesn't have to know that thoughts create feelings. He doesn't have to know the tools that I teach for us to have a conversation about it. I can hold space for all of his feelings and know that it has nothing to do with me and allow him to think that it does, right? To think that I made him feel a certain way, that's fine. I can see it from a very neutral place. Now, what's fascinating is the difference for me is the conversations that we're having about marriage and life together and what that looks like. And it's really, it's been very interesting because he has a lot of forever thoughts about this is supposed to be forever, marriage is like binding and all of that. And we've had extensive conversation about it because I have a very different viewpoint about what marriage is. I'm down for forever, but also knowing that forever might not actually be my whole lifetime. If something were to happen, if he were to cheat on me, if he were to become an addict of sorts, or he might cross some sort of boundary violation for me, none of those things are bad. I just want to preface that. If I have a specific boundary violation and that takes place and I don't want to live that flavor of life, I'm going to choose to leave. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to be in a committed relationship and build a life and be in a partnership with somebody. So I'm going to talk more about that. But the second question that I want to ask you when it comes to this and really seeing the main problem here is, do you trust yourself? Do I trust myself? Do I trust myself to always have my back no matter what? No matter if I fall madly in love with someone and begin to build a life with that person. It's huge. Trust for yourself is huge because a part of me thinks that in this question, you might be terrified that the life that you've built, you might lose it because you fall madly in love, right? I might lose if I fall madly in love with someone or if I build a relationship with someone, this life that I'm so obsessed with, I might lose it. But is that really true? If you really trusted yourself and you had that relationship with yourself where you're like, I've got my back and no one can touch that, no one can take that away, and you really believed that and lived that, we wouldn't be afraid of creating more relationships. We wouldn't be afraid of falling madly in love with someone and building a life and doing these things. Because we know even if I build this life with this person, I can still be obsessed with my life that I have on my own, and I can build this other life too at the same time. And we're going to talk all about this because this goes into the solution. This goes into what I want to teach you all today, and it's threefold. So the first thing being, we've got to get rid of all or nothing thinking. It's never either or. It is always and. I can be emotionally intelligent and fall in love. I can build my own Sunday and be in a romantic partnership. You guys, you can build lives that you love, and a part of that life that you love is being in a romantic, committed partnership. You can do that. You can have a beautiful life, a beautiful Sunday on your own, and maybe even have a second Sunday. Right? Now, he's just the cherry on top of your beautiful Sunday that you will never get rid of, because that is you. That is your relationship with yourself. That is the life that you built, that you maintain, that you keep forever and ever and ever. And he's the cherry on top of that Sunday. But you can also build a life with this person and fall madly in love because you just want to. All at the same time, being aware that you're creating the love. What a beautiful way to experience your life, right? It's just like when you're heartbroken, you can be grieving and feel excited about the future at the same time. What? It's not all or nothing. The second thing that I want to mention is allow yourself to truly want what you want, Bravehearts. We have got to talk about this. I want to do an entire episode on wants versus needs, but I'll do a little brief thing here. And I learned this from Katrine, who was on the podcast before, and it was so brilliant. And when we talk about wants and needs, we've really stopped making our wants important in our life. And we categorize it as a non-negotiable or a need, instead of just recognizing that a need is things that keep us alive. Food, water, sleep, things like that. And wants are everything else. And then allowing ourselves to put importance on those wants, recognizing that what you want is important and can be important. What you desire is important. And then trusting yourself that you know what you want and that you'll be there no matter what happens. Allow yourself to truly desire what you want in life. Right? Do you want a family, but you're telling yourself, oh, I shouldn't want that because it's outside of my Sunday? Or I want a husband, but you're saying, I don't want that I don't want a relationship because my life's so amazing over here, and that's just going to make it messy. For me, I wanted an easeful relationship. I was in a relationship with Matthew, and he was an amazing man. And we had such a great relationship, and there were so many beautiful things within that relationship. And I remember when I first started exploring the idea of no longer being in a relationship with him, I felt guilty, and I felt, I don't even know the word, maybe embarrassed, or why do I want more? Is there something more? And that's when I realized I wanted an easeful relationship. I didn't want to have to do thought work in my relationship every damn day. And it made me really question what we've been told in society. We've been told we have to work hard for relationships. We have to work hard in relationships. And I'm like, do we though? Why? Who told us that? Who told us we have to work hard in relationships? I'm really curious about this because I have plenty of relationships that don't take much effort at all. So why do we have to work hard? And I started questioning that for myself. And then I realized like what I truly desire in my life is an easeful romantic partnership. I like easeful relationships all around. And romantic partnerships is really important for me because it's someone that I typically spend a lot of my time with. And I see myself sharing a home with and babies. So of all the relationships in my life, that one I want to be easeful. So allowing yourself to truly want what you want, Bravehearts, is so important on top of letting go of the all or nothing thinking. The third and last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to this is being intentional. Be intentional when you enter the dating world and relationships. If you're clear, it's clearer to others. I want you to think about this. Think about if you walked up to the barista at Starbucks and you were like, "I'd like a coffee, please." And she goes, "What size?" And you're like, "I don't know. Not sure. Maybe this, maybe that." "What flavor?" I don't know. "Do you want it iced or hot?" "I'm not sure. I don't know." Very confusing to her. How could she possibly get your drink order correct if you don't even know what you want, if you're not being intentional? Versus when you walk up and you know exactly what to order. You're saying, "I want a grande. I want a brown sugar oat milk drink grande." Clearly that's my drink. But when you walk up and you know exactly what you want to order, she knows exactly what to get you, he or she. So the same thing goes for dating, you guys. And when it comes to forming relationships, really in general, it doesn't even have to be a romantic partnership. If you want a best friend, you've got to be clear and you've got to be intentional about what kind of best friend do I want? So I have some questions for you that you guys can journal out, and there are no right or wrong answers here. It's simply to provide awareness for you to understand, why do I want to date? Why do I even want a relationship? Why do I want to get back out there? Okay. So here's some questions. Why do I want to be in a relationship? Again, there are no right or wrong answers, but have you asked yourself this? Have you asked yourself, why do I want a romantic partnership? Is it to have someone to share experiences with? Is it to travel and explore the world with? Why do you want a romantic partnership? For me, it's pretty simple. I want a husband. I want to get married. I want to have babies, a baby. I want baby Marilyn. And I want someone to do that with. I'm open to doing it on my own if that happens in my life, but I genuinely want to do it with another human being. I want another human being who wants to raise a family unit like that and who also wants to share those experiences with me, who shows up. That's why I want a romantic partnership. And I own that for myself, and I trust myself that that's truly what I want. And I've just decided that. So why do you want to be in a relationship? The second question that I think is really important to ask yourself is, what does a relationship mean to me? And I started exploring this question when marriage started to be spoken about in my most recent relationship. At least for myself. I've asked this question before of other Bravehearts, but for myself, I really started exploring this recently because I'm like, what does a romantic relationship mean to me? What does marriage mean to me? If it's so important, why? And is it, when we think about what does a relationship mean to you, is it that you show up even when you don't feel like it's necessary? Even when you don't actually feel like showing up? Is it that you hold yourself accountable to your emotions? For me, it's like a relationship means that I hold myself accountable to my emotions. I show up in moments where I don't necessarily feel like it, but I want to be there for that person. I am very clear about how I want to show up, which actually relates to another question here that I want you to journal out is, who do I want to be in my romantic relationship? Keyword I, right? How do I want to show up regardless of how my partner shows up? I take responsibility of my emotions, right? That is like the key thing for me is I'm always going to take responsibility for how I feel. I will never place that blame on another person ever again, ever since learning that thoughts create feelings. I allow space for it. I allow space for my amazing, beautiful brain who wants to blame other people, right? But I take responsibility for my emotions. I show up when I want to show up and how I want to show up. I listen, I'm kind, and I love deeply through my own thinking. When I wake up in the morning and Jake spends the night, I just look at him and I spend time thinking about how amazing he is. That doesn't come naturally every day. When I wake up and he's snoring and I couldn't sleep all night because he snored, the first thought isn't like, oh my gosh, I love this man so much. It isn't. But I spend time being like, he's so cute. I love him so much. I can't wait until he figures out his breathing thing and the snoring never is a problem. Will that ever happen? Who knows? But I allow myself to intentionally believe thoughts that help me fall in love, madly in love with this amazing human being. And all of that comes pretty naturally, but it's not natural all of the time. But it is way more natural and way more easeful than any relationship I've ever been in because I got clear about what I truly desired, which brings me to the next question that I want you to journal out. What do I truly desire in a relationship? Do I want honesty? Do I want a protector and provider? Do I want someone who's playful, affectionate, who wants children, someone who's respectable, who's respected, someone who loves planning, open to doing things differently, open-minded person, not fixed to one specific area, who travels? I got so freaking clear about this, you guys, when I started dating. I have a list in my phone of every single thing that I was like, I desire these things in a relationship, in a romantic partnership, and I want to find someone who desires those things as well, who is those things and then desires. Like they naturally want to show up and be that kind of person and already are. And I created questions that go along with each of those wants to help me like figure out if they were right away in the beginning. So those are the questions that I want you to answer for yourself. And there are no right or wrong answers here. And I want you to just like allow yourself to be open and honest with yourself. Why do I want to be in a relationship? What does a relationship mean to me? Who do I want to be in my romantic relationship? And then what do I truly desire? And allow yourself to desire those from not a shameful place. Okay. So, conclusion, you guys. The problem is not that your heart is closed. It's that your mind thinks I can't be invested in me and be all in on a relationship. And that is simply not true. Question that belief for yourself. And then the solution that I want you to implement for yourself is I want you to drop the all or nothing thinking and allow yourself the and. I can be invested in me and explore relationships. I can be invested in me and get back out there. The second thing, allow yourself to truly desire your true desires in life, you guys. They're totally available to you. Allow yourself to want them without any shame. And then the third thing is be intentional with yourself. When you're clear about what you want, like what you want and why you're doing what you're doing, it is so much clearer to other people and you're going to get clearer results in your life. All right, my Bravehearts, you have got this. Rachel, thank you so much for asking this question. I love you all and I hope you have an amazing week. Bye-bye. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.